Hey guys, this is Jessie from Inkarella Cards, here today to show you how to write calligraphy as a lefty. I have gotten so many questions on my Instagram from lefties about how to do calligraphy without smudging my work, or comments about how they didn't know lefties could do calligraphy. I follow a lot of talented lefty calligraphers on Instagram who write completely differently. This is just how I write and how I make it work, and it might not apply to everybody. But I thought it would be a good idea to share in case it would help someone or encourage someone to try calligraphy. So here are the materials that I'm using today. I have a zebra G nib on a straight nib holder, and you could use an oblique holder, but as a lefty you're not going to need it. I have a brush pen, and here I have a Sumi ink brush pen with bristles, like a real brush. I have watercolor, already mixed from a previous project, to show you how to do this with a brush. I have Higgins Eternal Black ink to use with my pointed pen. And for some reason I didn't show it here, but I also have a brush to use with my watercolor and the Higgins Eternal Black ink later. So first thing I want to show you is how to use pointed pen as a lefty. There are two types of left-handed writers, generally, underwriters and overwriters. Underwriters are people who place their hand below the text, and overwriters are those who place their hand above. I'm an underwriter, but I know 100% that calligraphy works for overwriters as well, because they exist on Instagram and they're awesome. So here I just want to establish the angle at which I want to write, and I'm going to show you the writing from a different perspective to show you how this prevents any smudging that might occur. So I just want to show you the angle that I hold my pen. I'm going to start with the nib holder at a 90-degree angle from the paper. From there, bring the end of the pen toward you 45 degrees, then left 45 degrees, so that the edge of your palm is resting on the paper. You're also going to want your nib to be pointing outward 45 degrees, and you can see where I have my nib pointed as I'm writing hello. Here I am going to show you what writing with pointed pen looks like from the side. I'm writing here so that my hand is below what I'm writing, and I'm never touching the words unless I need to write above the word for some reason, in which case you might want to wait for the ink to dry for that. Next, I'm going to show you how to write with a brush pen. As I mentioned earlier, I'm using a Sumi ink brush pen for this. And these are killer because I actually use a brush pen like I use a pen or pencil, meaning that I run my hand right over what I just wrote and I get ink all over my hand and on the paper. So I'm going to show you how to prevent this as a lefty. First, let's focus on the grip and the way you hold the pen. You want to be holding the pen about an inch from the tip, and this ensures that enough distance is between the wet ink and your hand, so that if you do happen to touch the ink while writing, there's a chance that the ink may have dried by the time your hand touches it. So what I'm doing right now is writing like I normally would with my pen or pencil, but instead of resting my hand down, I'm tilting my hand at the wrist upward about 30 degrees, meaning the bottom part of my hand is making contact with the paper, but the upper part of my palm and my pinky finger is not touching the paper at all. I'm going to be showing you a better view of this later on. And as you can see, there are no ink or stain marks on my hands or on the paper, other than the stain marks left from my first attempt. So here's me writing with a brush, not a brush pen, but I use the same technique. You can see that I angle my hand upward at around 30 degrees and that my pinky finger isn't touching the paper. Next, I'm going to show you how to write with brush and watercolor. It's the same technique that I used earlier, but when you're using watercolors, you want to make sure that the hand doesn't fall onto the writing at any point because it takes longer to dry. I'm just using pre-mixed watercolor, and I'm going to use this lavender purple. The lighting was so bright and hard to see, so here's a close-up of the watercolor lettering. This is just for fun, and I'm just going to write something out so that you can see that this technique works for longer phrases as well. I hope you enjoyed the video and that you learned something. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and also what you'd like to see next. You can follow me on Instagram at InkarellaCards and check out my website at www.inkarella.com. Thanks for watching!